Hello, and I hope all is well for you today. My name is Gershly Karen Pierre, and I'm pro-marriage, pro the nuclear family. And when I say the nuclear family, it esteems it as if it's one family. But really, I believe that we should see ourselves as a composite. And so these nuclear families individually are part of the family, the ultimate family that we should strive to create. That we need to see each household as maybe a sub-family, a subgroup, but that the larger way that we perceive ourselves, identify, interact, should be from this large-scale, wholesome idea of us as a group, us, and rhetoric surrounding the theme of we, and rather than the individualistic approach. And when I think of Black families and the Black family, I think of the different qualities that we possess. So in this discussion, I'm going to be talking about the qualities of the Black family, anything from phenotype to culture, and how we can also see that, but from a large scale influence as well. We have yet to get to the point where our entire phenotype is actually validated. And you may think our phenotype, we have a quote range of different appearances. And that's the point. We have yet to accept that. And we have yet within each specific look to accept that. Whether it's the skin, being that skin is the organ that covers the entire body. Whether it's the hair, being that your hair covers a pretty good portion of your skull. And whether it's your facial traits, which is once again covering another portion of your skull. You might as well just say you hate your whole body. If you hate parts of the body that represent the entire body. You pick the parts of the body that represent anything from your skull to your organs. That's huge. Then what is there to save at that point? So we hate Blackness phenotypic wise, head to toe. And we have to break that, because if you're going to create families, you're making children that are going to possess those traits. So are you going to hate those children? And for many of us, the generations of us, yes, that is the case. But we have to undo that hatred, because it's divorcing us from the entirety of creating families as a whole. And it's divorcing us from ourselves, how God has called us to be. It's divorcing us from who God has set you apart to possess in terms of your traits, in terms of your attributes, and of course across one another. We can possess each other into families, but we have to appreciate the different constructions that God identified us to have. Everything from your nose, ears, eyes, eyebrows, everything that is on your person. And just to give an idea of the range, we can be in different types of build, but this could be your potential spouse that you're creating a Black family with. So whatever that build is, whatever that face is, whatever that aesthetic, that coloring, that texture is, that's a beautiful Black family that you're looking at. And one thing that we're trying to avoid in this new era is this thing where we have to constantly be at war with another form of Black, so that we can avoid dark skin versus light skin Black families, or whatever the aesthetic, or straight hair Black families versus woolly. Come on, can we get over this nonsense? Because this is your people. These are who you come from. You don't see in the non-Black demographics, for example, the white demographic, highly married people. You don't see them only esteem, let's say, a blonde nuclear family. They like it, but they like it as part of the larger entirety of themselves. So whether you see blonde couples, brunette couples, redhead couples, or even people with the hair color that is like Black, they get to be just proud of their identity. Even if they have preferences within that identity, they get to still esteem what centralizes them all, which is their whiteness. And when let's say you get a redhead with a blonde, that doesn't take anything away from them. You notice that they don't make those types of conversations. They appreciate it and they create a lane for the different avenues of themselves because they see it as an enhancement. I'm not going to lie, I've been a lurker and I've also grown up in their communities. So I've been privy to a lot of conversations, and including online forum-based conversations. And the way they describe their phenotype is it's seen as an enhancement. It's seen as something to celebrate. Like, oh, we have all this range and we have all this beauty and we're the most beautiful and we have the best range as compared to the others who all in their minds look alike. Well, isn't that the point of why God created this range? So there would be no excuse. You have every tree in the garden, but you don't want the trees that you can access. You want the one that God does not want you to possess, so to speak. So when God created range, it's so that there was no excuse. It's so that there was no sense of lack. It esteems you. It gives you a lot to feed off of and enjoy. And so that range should not be this weapon against us. Rather, it should be the reason we understand our total value. Because if there's something, like for example, in my database where I have all these different black families, you'll have light-skinned black families, so that the husband and wife, they're light-skinned. Dark-skinned black families, so that the husband and wife, they're dark-skinned. You have a light-skinned man, a dark-skinned woman, a dark-skinned man, a light-skinned woman, and whatever other interpretations there could be with hair texture and facial traits. And you see all this beautiful black families in this like format where you just see all these different kinds of people. But we have to make it the standard where you're not beautiful in spite of being black. You're not beautiful, but you're black. You're beautiful because you're black. And we need to understand the depth of that. And all these little isms and wars, I understand why you would have those. Because colorism, texturism, featureism, these are anti-blackness. And black people as a whole, they have every form of anti-blackness that you can get. But what we need to do is cut ourselves out from that, because it's the family that we're trying to build. This total black family, but also in our households. We want to see our couples. We want to see our bloodline. We want to see our families. And we can't do that if people are continuously hesitant and trying to make the range of us devalued. And I think even the wording of how we perceive preference needs to adapt as well, because one of these people can be your spouse to create family with. And so you don't want to cut that potential off. But even if you did have a quote preference, understand that the beauty of the total of who God has called us to be, who God has created and designed, is worth it. It's totally worth it. And I just see us as, at least with the phenotypic, just as abundance. Like, it's rich, it's thorough, it's nuanced, it's abundant, and it's so beautiful to think about. Because if God gave us all the same appearance in the black family, I guess we wouldn't argue, but it still just wouldn't be enough. It just would seem boring. And also, I just love his textures. I love what he's done with us. I love it. I just love how much he's created within us. And I happen to thank God for the different black family combinations. But we got to get past the verses. We can still epitomize value within the traits that we have, because that's celebrating us, which is what we're supposed to do. But we have to get past the point where it's a war to celebrate yourself. It's funny because when it comes to the different cultures of us, I'm going to speak prophetically, and I'm also going to speak for what I'm observing. And that is, I believe there's going to be an increase of what I refer to as, and I've created this term, BICR. I believe there's going to be an increase of that in this new era as the Black families begin to increase. What is BICR? It's the ability to be the same overall bloodline, the same demographic, but just across different cultures. It stands for Black Intercultural Relationships. And I don't think we realize the beauty of the Black family can also be BICR. But once again, we don't want to get to the point in this new era where as marriage rates increase and as Black families increase, that you're going to get a Jamaican family versus half Jamaican, half Nigerian family. We just want to celebrate the Black family. That's what we're doing. And so we don't want this intercultural war to continue that we possess, because all this anti-Blackness that we have, it's making it difficult for us to see the value in the overall Black family, as well as in these sub-families that we're, God's willing, creating. And BICR, whether it's created out of opportunity, necessity, preference, whatever the motives, BICR is going to need to have its own discussions, because we don't really understand each other. It's either your specific group or you don't really think of the just the diversity outside of that, but within your same demographic. And so we have to end all of that, because we need to be more specific and nuanced in understanding the Black family and how we as a collective can unite that sense of family. Because you're not going to need the cultural elitism in the home when you're building our families. You're not going to need these biases against other groups when you're building our families. And the reason I say that is because this era prizes itself on unity. And so all these other stuff doesn't actually make sense when you think about the problems that you have being multiplied across whatever culture. So the same self-hates that you have in your group, you're going to see another Black culture possess that. You're not so exclusive that your idea of reality is so disparate from ours. So it will be so powerful when we realize, oh, these Black families, they're a part of the Black family. Yeah, but their culture is different, but they're still a Black nuclear family. So whether you're a Jamaican nuclear family, a Haitian nuclear family, an African American nuclear family, the different Nigerian tribes of nuclear families, the different South African tribes of nuclear families, the different Papuan tribes of nuclear families, whatever your specific group is, or even if you were to say you're a Trinidadian and you marry someone from the Bahamas, whatever that Black nuclear family is, or if you're Ghanaian and you marry someone from Kenya, that's a beautiful Black nuclear family. I just love seeing the Black nuclear families. I just love that. And it adds once again to the richness of us, for us to see and behold these different cultural and whatever the richness of each other's ways of life is, but it's still part of the Black family. And I just think that's so amazing. If you can somehow appreciate endogamous Black families and Black intercultural families, but also just the entirety of us as a Black family. I'm so excited for us to walk into our greater realization of self, and of course the increase of Black families, because as we increase Black families, we're increasing the complexity of conversation surrounding Black unity. And whether it's the different aesthetics of families or the different cultures of Black family, this is ideally going to be an era we could celebrate. And I say ideally because I do perceive through prophecy that we are coming into different times as a people, and conversations like this will be normalized. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm so excited for the Black family. Let us celebrate the Black family and realize the empowerment and beauty of the Black family. My name is Gershly Karen Pierre, and I'm pro-marriage, pro the nuclear family. Thank you so much for listening.